Here for another exciting session on leveraging emerging technologies to strengthen health systems to improve operational efficiency and outcomes. May I request Dr. Param Hans Mishra, CEO, IQ City Medical College and Hospital to come on stage, please. Dr. Dheeraj Arya, COO, Yatharth Super Specialty Hospital. Mr. Saurav Gupta, VP Operations, Medanta, the Medicity, to come on stage, please. And I always also request Dr. Albin Sigamani, Chief Scientific Officer, Newman Health, to come on stage, please. What I'll do that I'll shift here, you sit here, so it will be easier for all of us to interact. Yeah. I also request our esteemed delegates who are there outside having a cup of tea, you can take your cup inside and sit here so that we can start the session. We are running a little late, so we'll start the session right away. I request my esteemed colleagues, if you can kindly ask all our esteemed guests to come inside and take their seat. So we are starting this session on leveraging emerging technologies to strengthen health systems to improve operational efficiency and outcomes. As we know that digital advancement in healthcare are propelling innovation and driving long-term structural changes how healthcare is delivered. From digital tools driving research and development of treatments and vaccines for COVID-19 to delivering healthcare remotely through telemedicine, both the response and recovery phases are heavily dependent on new technologies. It is time for the world to embrace and facilitate these innovations by adopting new policies developed in partnership with the private sector and other key stakeholders. Such innovations will ultimately bring about better patient outcomes as well as cost savings for patients, care providers, and society. And for that, we have got an eminent panel with us, Dr. Paramhans Mishra, Dr. Dheeraj Arya, Mr. Saurav Gupta, and Dr. Albin Sigamani. I welcome all of you once again on stage, please. So, my first question to you will be that developing an advanced healthcare IT infrastructure based on global standards, is it the need of the hour? Your thoughts on that, Dr. Paramhans Mishra.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, APAC News Network, for inviting me for this panel session. Yes, advanced technology is very, very important, not only in context of COVID, post-COVID, but always for any development, because what we have seen in this COVID scenario is that technology has helped save many patients' lives, where even the relatives and friends were scared to meet their friends, meet their family members. Technology has helped doctors in treating patients offline, because everybody's life is precious, but at the same time, we as doctors, healthcare professionals, cannot shy away from treating patients, but at the same time, we also have to take care of ourselves because we also have families. So in this era, I feel that telemedicine, Zoom call, video call, WhatsApp call, these all have been very, very helpful, which were used only as social media before COVID. This has helped save many, many lives. So I feel that if properly used, technology is definitely going to help healthcare and any other society. This has given many new avenues of business also to many people. So I am sure that the newer developments in technology will be helpful for healthcare and public at large.
Right, right. Dr. Dheeraj Arya, your thoughts on that healthcare IT infrastructure at par with global standards, are we there or we still have to reach many more heights?
Hello. Thank you for inviting to me in this great event. Uh, so as we are discussing the role of technology uh, since morning session, that how it is important in especially healthcare. So if you see AI or IT or any innovation is already into the system since long. We were not recognizing it, or we were not appreciating it to a level where it can help us, that how it can improve the existing healthcare system. You say a government sector or you see a private sector, the developments which were already there in a private setups, that has taken almost now 20 years to establish themselves, which the government system is it's very new. So the EMR, the EHR, the data security, even machine learning, all these things are now into the machines only. They are into the system which are already running into the government sectors also. This COVID period has made us realize, which was not earlier very prominent, this telemedicine, telemonitoring, or telehealth, which which was considered as a second step or maybe a last scenario where we can get connect with the patients in rural areas or even to the urban areas, but the people who cannot come. But now with COVID, so I have seen this opportunity that how the IT system has helped the patient, the doctor to get connect. They can even get more closer to the doctor without coming to their contact. There is more of connectivity. So if I say this, how IT system can work for everybody in India or globally, I feel that everybody has to start taking the charge of their health by themselves. Earlier, what used to happen, that whenever you get sick, you used to go to hospital. But now with these IT technologies, these artificial intelligence system, you have gadgets with you, you have phones with you, you have watches with you, which tell you about your heart rate, your BP, your ECG, or even they can predict that you may fall into a high risk category of a heart attack. So now the people are custodian of their health. So it's not the hospitals are reaching them. The customer is self-aware that through their gadgets, the people at times these Fitbit watches, these were not into the fashion. Now more people are into, they want to take care of themselves. So now, and this is only possible with the these artificial intelligence IT system only. So I feel that yes, this will increase the scope from both ways, from the customer point of view and from the healthcare industry also. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I'll come back to Dr. Dheeraj. Mr. Saurav Gupta, your thoughts on this, that are we there in terms of building that kind of robust IT infrastructure for healthcare at par with global standards, or we are yet to touch that milestone?
Okay. So, first of all, a big thank you to APAC. And I also want to congratulate you for the first physical event, because such events will actually instill confidence in the community. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
So let's talk about what happened in the past 2 years. So 2020 and 21 will actually be known as the point of inflection in the history of mankind. Because I was hearing the eminent panelists throughout the sessions, and this pandemic has essentially changed the way healthcare is being delivered. No other pandemic in the past has done that, but hospital has already moved outside the hospital. There is a lot of unbundling of healthcare services which was happening, like ophthalmology, dental. But this pandemic has actually forced us to think, what else? Now we talk about ICU at home. Telemedicine is just the basic bit. But I come from a state capital, tier 2 city. At the height of the pandemic, we were getting e-consult requests from patients from Banda, Gonda, such places where people cannot even think about e-literacy. So things have really changed. Now what has happened, there was a survey from McKinsey Global Institute a couple of months back, whereas they actually studied how the pace of acceleration or the advancement of technology has happened. So they found out that the technology implementation, adoption of digital technology has advanced by almost 7 to 10 years, and actually it is the highest in Asia. So we are already sitting 10 years ahead of what we would have been if pandemic wouldn't have happened. So this has actually forced us to think, what can we do? What better infrastructure can we make? Now, it has also instilled a lot of challenges to us, because lot of the shortcomings and loopholes in the existing healthcare system has come forward. So someone was actually talking about the spend on healthcare. So government doesn't even spend 2% of GDP. But let's look at the other side of the coin. Life expectancy is increasing. Our share of old population in India is 12% now. It is going to further increase to 16 and further. Now, howsoever money you will put, you will never be able to actually justify, because the burden of disease, burden of old age will always be there. And this is not the last pandemic, this is not the first pandemic, many more pandemics will come. Healthcare anyways get meager allocation if you compare the allocations with space technology and the military spending. So I was just going through some research, and the military spending is almost 12-fold worldwide than healthcare. Do we need to change it? I am not very sure the focus is there. But yes, we need to increase the spending, but it will always be less than space technology. And there is a very famous viral message and connotation which comes every now or then on the internet, which says that, do you want to invest in making Earth a better place or going to the Mars?
Right. Interesting, Saurav Gupta. I'll come back to you. Let's have a perspective from Dr. Albin Sigamani, Newman Health. Dr. Albin, your thoughts on that? I'll come to the technology AI part in the next set of questions.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation here, and I should first of all congratulate you in having this event as a health tech innovation conclave. My perspective is that technology in healthcare is far already much ahead in India. And from perspective of adoption of technology in India, we've always been the leaders. If you take digital payment sector, you take into any aspect of technology. Even I grew up in days when we used to have black and white TV, and I'm already seeing digital TV on my phones, right? So we have the latest iPhones coming in here. So I don't think we've been shying away from technology. From a perspective of healthcare, adopting technology, I think it is long due, but it's already happening. And as far as global standards are concerned, I guess we will be getting the best, because we develop most technologies for the world, and I'm sure we will have access to it. And because of the consumer base that we can create, any technology will definitely migrate automatically to this country. I think what was needed is creating the platforms for them, and we need to have the right mind and support, which I think in the morning inauguration session, we very clearly heard that the government is already thinking in the right direction. The Aadhaar was a huge platform that got created, and if not for that, we wouldn't have had CoWIN-like applications coming in. So I think we are way ahead, I would say, as far as technology coming into healthcare. Adoption, yes. That's not because of technology, it's largely because of the healthcare industry. Healthcare industry has been very slow to change, and I think it's just time, like something like COVID has actually given a nudge, and I'm sure this is going to keep going on. Thank you.
Right. Interesting, Dr. Albin. I'll come back to you that in terms of adaptation, we have to think about that. If we come to the core area of this particular session, where we are focusing more on the emerging technologies to strengthen our existing healthcare ecosystem or improving our outcome, operational efficiency as well. If I want to point out one particular emerging technology, like it can be AI, it can be blockchain, it can be any other thing. We are talking about data. I think there are two aspects. One is generating that data, and second is whether we are analyzing that data to have a better outcome. So our hospital infrastructure is ready to handle that kind of data when we talk about, even if we talk about National Digital Health Mission, we're talking about enormous amount of data. One thing is data is coming. The second thing is whether we're analyzing that data, or do we have that mechanism to analyze that data using emerging technologies to improve outcome or excel our operational efficiency. Where are we in that space? Dr. Paramhans, your thoughts on that?
Thank you. Yes, I think the data is very, very much lacking in India. And analysis is, I will say, just 1% of what data we have. See, as majority of our population is in rural areas, there is no data system there. Even in cities where we collect data, where even ICD-10 coding or ICD-11 coding of diseases are happening, there is no analysis of what kind of diseases we are getting, from where that population of disease is coming, and how to develop that facilities, how to develop the newer requirement of healthcare. The problem is that we are focusing too much on newer technologies, but the research work is very, very poor. Suppose we analyze the data of this COVID pandemic itself, we will know that majority of the population were not from rural areas. Majority of the population were from cities where there is a cluster of people, where the huge population density is there. So we have to develop facilities according to the place, according to the requirement of the people. If you go for research, I feel that only some tertiary care government hospitals like AIIMS, PGI, Chandigarh, they are doing some real research on medicine or technologies. I don't see many private big hospitals investing much or focusing much on research, because that is not generating much revenue as perceived. But I feel that if we do research, lots of pharma companies, lots of other agencies are there to help and support. I have seen a hospital in Hyderabad, Global Hospital. They have established a separate unit for doing the research work. So I feel the research work is lacking, where data is very, very much required. And we have to develop data, we have to do research, otherwise we will always be found lacking to meet these pandemics. Like we were taken by surprise when this pandemic happened. China, which was supposed to be the originator of this, they controlled their pandemic very fast. But where did other countries go? They were all lagging behind. So we have to be very much research oriented if we want to develop anything new. Anything new. That is very important.
Right. So you're saying there's a dearth of data, and then analyzing of data comes next. So we have to think about that. Dr. Dheeraj, do you agree to that, or do you think that we have sufficient amount of data generated, but we need to analyze them more effectively? What's your thought on that?
So, as Dr. Paramhans has said, that there is availability of data in the healthcare sector, but the use of that data in a way which can ultimately help the customer or even the hospital in strategy designing or planning for the future treatment is not there. So if you see, if I just take an example of any hospital, whenever the patient comes to a hospital from emergency or the OPD, he goes through a typical cycle of coming to admission desk, then he's going to admit or getting into treatment, surgery part, investigation, and then he get ultimately discharged. So at every level, there is now in any new hospital or even the good new government hospital, there is a EHR, electronic health records. There is data recorded at the level of OPDs. The prescriptions are given at the level of OPD. So the data is there. But whenever the patient goes out of the hospital, we are not able to analyze it in a way which ultimately the next time the patient is coming, so we can help in a better way, which we haven't done in the last time. So if I take an example, a young patient who comes to an emergency with a chest pain, he came, he was not diagnosed with a cardiac arrest, but he had some chest pain, and we could not understand the etiology, why this happened. There was no reports coming, there was no positive report coming, all the enzymes were normal, he was discharged the next day. But are we really doing justice what has happened with him during his stay in our hospital? No, because we may have missed, because the diagnosis, the treatment part was done by a team. Maybe the team has done its best, but there are many hidden things. If you see a young person, male, female, in today's world, they have a lot of different variables, like their diet habits, their sedentary lifestyle, their work stress. We cannot ignore these symptoms. So what I feel, that this data should be in a way enable us, we can go to that patient in through these newer technologies, so that he can be connected post discharge also with us with newer gadgets, so that if there is something he encounter maybe in future, we can help him. So I think that connection, that data will help us. That data will tell us that this patient came with such thing and how we can help in future. Because whoever is coming to us, we can do justice for him. But what about those patients who came, nothing much happened and they went? And but there are a lot of people, and if you now see, this electronic things are so in with everybody. This is an opportunity for us, that if we are marketing these things, we can market our IT things also, that we can innovate these IT things, and this data will ultimately help that person and the hospital too.
Right, right. Mr. Saurav, your thoughts on that? Regarding data, analyzing of data, are we there?
Okay, so what is data? So data is the new oil. Everybody says that. And fortunately or unfortunately, we are actually sitting on piles of data. And I beg to differ from my panelist. The data might not be digital, but we have data. We have huge data. The problem is it might not be digital. It might be in several registers. We are working in silos because there is no integration between the private and public sector, and COVID-19 has actually put a big question mark on this divide, because going forward there will be one ecosystem, one healthcare system. It cannot be public and private. What might be lacking is the refining on data. So mind that out of the world oil reserves, and that is a very good connotation I would like to give, not even 50% of the world crude oil reserves are found and they are refined. It is much less than even 50%. So until and unless you refine the data into a meaningful information, it will not make any sense. And data, refined data, is the building block for AI. So AI is only the next step once you have refined data which makes meaningful, which throws meaningful result. And let's talk about patient example. So what has happened in Indian hospital, and that is very true to the West because I have extensively worked across the globe. The hospitals grew from one clinic to several other setups, and they bought many softwares. At the end of the day, after very many years, they found that the softwares do not interact with each other. So their machine, their equipment, which was MRI, excuse me, which was actually bought 6 years back, is not DICOM compatible. So you cannot upload the data, onto the cloud. And similarly, what is happening is now we are taking cognizance of that, but there is no omni-channel presence. So if I have an HIA system and if my data, refinement is on the other level, I might integrate my EMR with that. But from a patient perspective, can he open an app and download all the things, all the reports? Can he access the data? The question is, there is actually a question mark because the omni-channel presence is missing. So we are yet not there. We are trying to be there. And again, as I said, the pace of acceleration has actually, being fast forwarded. So that's the thing.
That's also that's also a good point that even if you are not there, but the pace of acceleration has tremendously fastened, especially in the last 1.5 years. That is also a rosy picture to see on the other side if you see. Dr. Albin, your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I've been a researcher for the last 17 years, so I can just want to give you a couple of perspectives here.
So you can get both the perspective from both the sides.
Yes. So before I give my perspective on that, the challenges that we are seeing with data and the way data is accumulated, processed, and inferred is because, and the problem that some of my colleagues here told, is that we've never invested in getting engineers to solve problems in the hospital. We've used engineers only to be tool makers. And I think this engineers comes with systems thinking. They solve problems. They don't sit and diagnose problems. Doctors are other way trained to only diagnose problems, and we are very probabilistic in nature. I'm being a doctor, I can confidently tell that about myself. Coming to data and research, the concept is that, yes, we've been behind in inculcating research as a trained or as a behavior amongst our doctors. We have not taken the charge of collecting data the right way, analyzing them, or following up with patients and understanding outcomes. But I guess the world has taught us a lot of things, and there are a lot of epidemiologists who have built all these things. I don't think we need to go back in time and invest in all these things. There is now new technologies, like say for example, one of my friends was saying, yes, we are sitting on data and it's not digital, but there is technology which can actually convert them into digital. You have natural language processing data which can actually convert it into it. I think what is important from research and data analysis is to look at patient outcomes. How can we improve patient outcomes? How can we connect back to that patient who was left to the hospital? I'm sure many of the hospitals sitting here are having close to around 1,500 to 2,000 patient footfalls. And 30 to 40% of adults in that will be having some chronic ailment in them. But how many of these patients are they being able to get them back to the hospital to follow them up on a particular procedure? I guess that's where we need to put our focus on, and that's where hospitals should try to adopt people or systems, systems changes in order to connect back to these patients. And in doing so, you get the health improvement, you get more people to come back to you for your solutions that you have to offer, and at the same time you start improving outcomes. One last thing I wanted to tell is that a pregnant mother, if she's gone to an obstetrician and she's gone for all her antenatal checkups, she's called a booked case when she comes in for a delivery. Now the same person, by any chance, goes to another hospital where her entire record is not available, she has a 33% chance of having maternal mortality. Same person who has gone for all the antenatal checkups and all that, just because they don't have the information on this person. And this has been proven. So the point I'm trying to say here is that we are at the right moment right now. We have the capability of tracking a person, and we need to just bring these elements into health. And from a research perspective, we need to look at outcomes and not try to go back and investigate into risk factors or what. That is academic, but as hospitals, I think we should be focused more on health outcomes. That's my perspective.
I'll end this session. I'll ask a question to you and probably all of you. Do you think the problem you're talking about, National Digital Health Mission and National Digital Health ID, is going to be the game changer in that aspect, Dr. Albin?
I think it's going to set the platform, because it's going to break through a lot of barriers of thinking of integration. we've been shying away of talking to each other about our patients. We feel very protective of our patients. I guess this will set the platform for us to start talking to each other.
Dr. Dheeraj, your take on that? National Digital Health Mission or the National Digital Health ID is going to be the game changer?
Yes, I think that will be, as Dr. said, yes, there will be a platform where everybody is open towards, and if it is accepted by the government, and it is like now open to everybody, so people will also come forward with their ideas, and better outcomes will be definite.
Dr. Paramhans, your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I think National Digital Health Mission is going to be the game changer, but it must make mandatory for every health record has to be digitalized, because although it is required, but it is still not mandatory. It has to be made mandatory. Because what I'm saying is that, say, 50% of the hospitals in cities, they may not have still digital health records. Forget about the rural areas. Rural areas, I don't think any hospital will have digitalized health record. Plus, the registrations of birth and death, it is done only in cities, in few places where it is digitalized. Other places you get, I mean, it's very difficult. Very few people register also, unless some government agency approaches them. So, it has to be uniform. And we must not forget that 70% of our population still lives in rural areas. So, we have to educate them. We have to make them understand the importance of digitalization. We have to make them tech savvy. And everybody cannot be made tech savvy, so we have to post some people, we have to start some organizations there who can do this, volunteer work, who can be paid for some money, but they have to do it. Otherwise, we will always be lacking the data and analysis. We cannot do analysis of paperwork. It takes huge time unless it is digitalized.
Right. Mr. Saurav, quickly, 30 seconds to you.
Okay. So, it is a great initiative. It will set the ball rolling, but there are few caveats. First of all, I agree with Dr. Mishra that we don't have the digitization infrastructure. So how will you digitalize the records in the rural areas? That's a big question mark. The second thing is to install confidence in people. We don't have laws which protect data, personal data. We don't have those frameworks. There are laws like DISHA and PDP which are in the parliament, but they have not been passed. So how will I get, and we must understand that there have been a lot of data leaks related to Aadhaar and some laboratory leak which happened. So 35,000 records were out on Google. So such things need to be addressed. These type of schemes will only flourish and will set the ball in the next court if we do the complements, if we do the complementary things with those. So these frameworks are very important. The soft framework, the ecosystem, and also the hardware infrastructure, especially in tier 2 and rural areas.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Saurav Gupta. This brings us to the end of this panel discussion on leveraging emerging technologies to strengthen health systems to improve operational efficiency and outcomes. If we take a crux of what has been discussed, that data has to be there. Analyzing of that data has to be there for improving patient outcome and improving the operational efficiency. At the same time, in terms of digital transformation, it is already happening in India at par with global standards. Question is about digital adoption. We hope that will happen fast. Yeah, you want to add something?
Sorry, I never wanted to interrupt you, but I would like to take a clue from Dr. Yadava said in the last discussion. See, everything is okay, but where are we on e-education? Do we teach our healthcare workers how to interact digitally, how to operate such system? That is a big piece lacking. We need to include such modules. Even, I took some time, my doctors took some time when these Internet of medical things came in. So we need to include those models, because what will happen is, and I've seen this happening, you will have a system, beautiful hardware and software, people will not use that. Or people will use that 50-60%, and there will be a manual system parallelly running, which will actually be a burden to the entire system. So we need to create that awareness, we need to create this sensitization and also educate our healthcare workers.
Surely, we need to educate our healthcare workers, and we have to have that mechanism in place where we actually train the future generation of healthcare workers with the need of future needs. We can teach them. I think in the last panel also, some of the speakers were talking about the major challenge was adequate trained manpower. I think government should think about that, and some of the things are already there, but a lot of needs to be done. But again, I'll end in a positive note that one of the remarkable thing which has happened in India is COVID. Just see the amount of IT integration. Imagine 130 crore people who will be vaccinated today or 1 year later. Entire data will be there. Imagine that kind of IT integration which is already happening in COVID, and global people are asking for that app. So I think that's a rosy picture for India. Yes, there are dark tunnels, but I'm always believer that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you.
With this, we come to the end of this panel. Can we have a big round of applause for all of them, please? I request Rajneesh, the consulting editor of Apec News Network, to come on stage, please, and hand over the small token of appreciation to our speakers. We can start with Dr. Paramhans Mishra, COO, IQ City Medical College and Hospital. To Dr. Dheeraj Arya, COO, Yatharth Super Specialty Hospital. To Dr. Dheeraj Arya, CEO, Yatharth Super Specialty Hospital. To Mr. Saurav Gupta, VP Operations, Medanta, the Medicity. And to Dr. Albin Sugamani, Chief Scientific Officer, Newman Health. To Dr. Albin Sugamani, Chief Scientific Officer, Newman Health. Can we have a group photo of all the speakers together, please? That brings us to the end of this yet another insightful and exciting panel discussion on leveraging emerging technologies to strengthen health systems to improve operational efficiency outcomes.